back to the Info Day. This is the second day of the Info Day dedicated to Cluster 4. Now I don't want to spend too much time on the introduction, as you already had it, and really want to go in deep. And I would like to introduce you the speaker and the keynote speaker of today, the director from DG Connect, Thibaut Kleiner, from Department D, dedicated to policy strategy and outreach. Thibaut, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I hope you can see me and hear me.
Yes, loud and clear. So when you're ready, I can start with your presentation.
Very good. So let's start. And really good morning, everyone. Indeed, I'm one of the co-chairs of Cluster 4 in this Horizon Europe program on industrial research. And I'm really happy to welcome you for the second day of these Info Days on the calls for 2024 in our work program 23-24. And today we will be presenting the calls that relate to digital and space. So you will hear from my colleagues some details about the calls, and you will see that they will go into the expectations of the topics we have in the digital area. And the purpose is really to give you a good understanding of what we are looking for each of the topics. But today I wanted to complement a little bit, this detailed presentation to give you a bit of a flavor in terms of what we are looking for in the Commission. What was the genesis a little bit also of our work program? And this is essentially to underline that, as you know, in Horizon Europe, there is really an attempt to relate some precise topics in this cluster in terms of research to our broader policy initiatives. So that's very important, because when you will gather to formulate your projects, it's really important that you keep in mind what is the big picture, what is actually the contribution from a given research project to the context and the EU strategic policies and priorities. As you may have heard, we have what we call the Digital Decade Policy Program. So it's really a set of targets for 2030, and it's a framework for everything we are trying to put together in terms of how also research can contribute to better skills, to improvement in digital infrastructures, to the transformation of the private sector and transformation of the public sector. And many of our initiatives relate to these objectives for 2030. You will also see that in our calls, in our topics, we try to support this agenda of technological sovereignty, really. So it's about developing technologies that fit with our European values, that fit with what we are trying to provide as a vision for the digital transformation, human-centered, where the technology is by design in line with our democratic values, privacy, dignity, pluralism, and so on. And we want really that you keep this in mind when you design your projects. So now on this slide, I will start with maybe saying a few words also on some of the specific destinations, because as you know, we have an organization in the cluster where there are specific destinations, and this is a way to really have some consistency between the topics. So that's also important for you to realize. And here in this table, they look a bit wordy, you will see, but nevertheless, they are useful because they make the link, as I was outlining, between policy and strategies, strategic priorities, and then what we expect from the topics. So here in Destination 3 in Cluster 4, so it's about data. We have a lot in terms of data at the level of the strategic priorities in the EU. We've done a European strategy for data, so really important that you have a look. We have also elements in our Digital Decade Policy Program, in our EU Green Deal, And we have also legislation that was recently adopted, the Data Governance Act and the Data Act. And the research we want to do is actually supplementing these regulatory efforts and making sure that we have topics that will develop interoperability, the analytical exploitation of common data space, but also topics that will serve to define, quantify, and measure data bias in data sets. That's very important also because the data is used, as you know, for artificial intelligence and to train the AI models. So this is something that we focus on. And we want also to make sure that in this destination 3 on data, you pay attention to the opportunity to have customized Internet of Things and also next generation edge computing technologies, because this is, at the end of the day, the kind of infrastructure that collects and exploits the data. So doing so, we believe that these elements will contribute to create data space based on European rules and values, but also strengthen the Europeans' capabilities for infrastructure, for hosting, for processing and using the data. So you see, this is very important. And last but not least, we want to make sure that in the management and the generation of these data analytics, we pay attention to climate change. So climate neutral, highly energy efficient and sustainable data centers is also at the heart of our attention, as well as the new idea of climate neutral edge nodes, which is really one of the clear targets of the digital compass for 2030. So that's really important. And really for data, pay attention to these elements because they will make your proposals more relevant and more strategic from the Commission's point of view. Now, if we move to the next slide, we have also destination 4 in cluster 4. It is about digital technologies, really. So I would say the bread and butter of what we have supported over the past 20 years. But here, what is really important is that we want to make sure, again, that these strategies fit into the broader picture and that they address large-scale environmental challenges as well, using robotics, using data, using AI solutions, so that we make sure that we improve our energy consumption and optimization of resources across the economy, and also serve the objectives of the Green Deal. One area that is really important there is, for instance, electronic and photonic components, because this is where we can really save energy if we use them very well. And of course, key digital technologies are also super important here. For instance, we have in this element, quantum. We have element around also responsible software engineering method. Again, the idea is that all these technologies by design should fit with European values. And if you have an opportunity, have a look at our declaration there on digital rights and principles. It is really a summary of where we are getting with our vision and where also we expect the technology to be responsive. So again, very important here on these digital technologies. And you see in the heading of the topics that, between cloud, between photonics, between materials and quantum, we have a lot with AI and data to offer a lot of opportunities for consortium. The next slide and the last one is about destination 6. Here again, this objective is about human-centered, technologies. Very important. And as I said, our declaration on digital rights and principles could be really here something that you look at. We want to make sure also that in this destination, we fit with our EU standardization strategy. And standards are one of the key outputs of research and something where we think Europe is leading and where your activities in the EU can be really making a big difference. In this destination, we also have a lot of emphasis on artificial intelligence. And I mean, I don't need to repeat how important these days AI is. We have really the potential to also in the EU make a big impact because we design the AI in a way that is greener, in a way that fits better with values like privacy, like also preserving human rights. And this is especially in this destination 6 a key element. We intend to make sure that also there will be improvements because, as you may know, there is an acceleration around the issue of generative AI. This is one area where we believe Europe has lots of strength, but where we need to accelerate. So we will do actually some changes, in the program with new topics and with maybe also refinements or an amendment that we are preparing right now. So stay tuned. Some colleagues will tell you more about this. I wanted just to conclude saying that indeed, within this objective, we want you to pay attention to also the joint undertakings, because there is a big link between what we do here in the cluster and in Destination 6, in particular with the data, with the AI, with the technologies, but also how this is relating to the joint undertakings, Euro HPC, smart networks, and the CHIPS undertaking. They are here, but the communities should not be separated, but actually work together. So just to conclude, I will say that we are very enthusiastic about the opportunities of Cluster 4 for 2024. Sometimes you read in the press that the EU is all about regulating the digital space rather than innovating. We don't think it's correct. We think that thanks to the vibrant communities, researchers, innovators we have in the EU, we can lead. And this opportunity is very strong for you in 2024. So with this, I invite you to continue the conversations, to get information, and to make sure, and that's my key message, that whatever you propose is keeping attention to the big picture and to the strategic priorities of the EU. With this, I give you back the floor, Elena, and I think that you will guide us through the 3 digital sessions, starting with Destination 3.
Thank you, Thibaut. Yes, indeed. Thanks for this introduction that give us a little taste of what we are going to discover during the day. And thank you a lot. And then I think we can go forward with going into the deep of the presentations of the destination, and we can start with Destination 3. I can invite also our next speaker, Kimmo Rossi from, again, DG Connect, Unit G1, Data Policy and Innovation, Head of Sector. Kimmo, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good.
And can you switch also on your camera?
It's on.
Okay, perfect. Now I can see you. Sorry. So when I need to change the slides, you can just say next, and I will do it for you.
Okay, so let's get started, and next immediately, and next, so that we don't lose any time. So the topic that I'm going to present here is Data 0101, AI-driven data operations and compliance technologies. And it's very good that you just had this brilliant introduction by Thibaut, which put this topic into the context, into the broader context. He mentioned the European strategy for data. He said that data is increasingly used, sometimes even exclusively used to training artificial intelligence applications. And at the same time, we want to make sure that the AI solutions are based on European values. And in order for that to happen, the data that is used for training these solutions must also be in compliance with European values and regulations. I'm not going to spend time on this the parameters of the topics, because you can read these from the work program. I just highlight some things that are important to remember. First of all, we are calling for innovation actions relatively high TRL level. So this is not this topic is not about research. It's about innovation. Secondly, a novelty in this topic that you may be used to funding rate 70% for innovation actions, but in this topic it is exceptionally 60% is the funding rate for profit entities, but as usual, 100%, it is 100% for the non-profit entities. There's the same condition that we used to have in the previous work programs, that if projects are using satellite-based Earth observation, positioning, navigation, then they have to make use of Copernicus, Galileo, EGNOS data, but they can use also other data sources. But it's only if they use this kind of data. A novelty in this work program for innovation actions that I want to highlight, because it's actually mentioned not in the topic description, but elsewhere in the work program, that legal entities established in China are not eligible to participate in innovation actions in any capacity. So not as beneficiaries, not as third parties, and not as subcontractors. Next slide. This is just a reminder that in order to find the expected impact, you have to again go outside the topic description into the introduction of the destination 3 to find these 3 bullet points. So keep this in mind, that this is the expected impact for all topics that follow. Next one, please. And now we go to the actual topic description. So expected outcome in general is to help companies and public sector to comply with existing and emerging regulation, and still create value on data assets. So still make use of data assets and make money, make business with them. And at the same time, citizens need to feel that they are treated in a fair, unbiased, and compliant way by the systems that are developed on this data assets. For this reason, we also need to be able to define, quantify, and measure bias in datasets. So this is what we expect also from projects to suggest how this could happen. These projects should contribute to common European data spaces and quantify and reduce the environmental footprint of data operations, because data operations are very energy intensive, so minimizing, optimizing them is very important, and it's also in the focus of this topic. Next. So now we go to the scope section, which is describing what we are actually expecting to see in the proposals. So processing increasing data volumes more efficiently, distill more useful knowledge from data, at the same time doing this in a compliant way. And with difference to previous compliance topics, that this is not the first time we are calling for compliance technologies. Now we expect design principles and architectures that are inherently compliant. So to say, compliant by design, rather than just a set of plugins but compliance tools will still remain necessary. So they should also be targeted. Next. So as I said, the topic should serve the common European data spaces that Thibault mentioned in the introduction, and the provision of data, so data pipelines for AI development, and to be able to monitor, control, track, and record transactions on data, to always to ensure compliance. And compliance should be understood in the broad sense. Of course, it's compliance with legal requirements, with existing and emergent legislation, but also with ethics principles, green objectives, or in broadly speaking, compliance with European values. And it should use for this appropriate technologies and methods, and there some of these are described as examples in the scope text. Address interoperability for data sharing, and very important that the competencies necessary should always be represented in the consortium. For example, sufficient legal expertise so that the project is fully aware of the legal requirements. Next. So there's a number of collaborations links. So this is a rather horizontal and connected topic. So I'm not going through these one by one, but they are all mentioned in the work program. It's important that you build on these other initiatives, other project portfolios. And next is, I think, my last slide. So here are useful links to the work program text. and to the last link to the current portfolio of data projects. That's all. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Kimmo. And indeed, as yesterday, we have now this 5 minutes Q&A session. So if you can log in on Slido with the QR code, and then if you have any question, we are here. I mean, to reply, knowing that all the questions then collected then will be will appear also in the FAQ section in the portal for each topic. So then you will see also the reply directly there. If we don't have time or if to reply to all the questions, then you still have the chance to see the reply online. So just let's check if people from the stakeholders are collecting some questions.
It's maybe too early in the morning.
Okay, I see that from the Cecilia said that no questions. So thank you, Kimmo. And so again, I'm going to share again my screen and invite to join me Rolf.
Yeah, good morning.
Hello. Just a second, if I can. Do you see my screen now?
Not yet. Still waiting.
Oops. Let's see what's happened. Let's see if I can. Do you see my screen now? Not yet.
I don't see it. I still see you, but no screen.
I don't know what's happened. And now,
should I share my screen? Should I try that one?
yes, if you have your slides, just to avoid to waste too much time. I don't know what's happening now with the WebEx. So
Strange. Screen 1, screen 2, should be screen 3.
okay, so no.
Do you see the slides now?
Yes.
So, good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be there. I'm Rolf Schneider. I'm the head of sector in the IoT unit. And I'm happy to present you basically two topics. So it takes about, I will take them together. It's Horizon 2024 data 103 and 05. Both are quite linked, and I will give a brief overview combining both topics, and then we have 10 minutes for presentation, 10 minutes for question and answers. So actually, this topic builds about a new strategy, what we have under Horizon Europe, what we call Next Generation Cloud Edge IoT Continuum. It's a section under the Cluster 4 Destination 3, from Cloud to Edge to IoT. And actually, it combines software technologies, IoT research and innovation and pilots, and cloud computing. So different disciplines. we call as new strategy under Horizon Europe when start with a total of more than 250 million. We call for different topics under Destination 4, an open source and cloud-based services, open source for cloud, edge, digital economy. You will hear about that a bit later in the morning. And then under Destination 3, we had different research and innovation topics. And now we call for an innovation topic, pilots for emerging smart IoT platforms and decentralized intelligence. And that is up now, and that I will present now. So actually, the markets for IoT and edge markets are growing in the next years. It's an opportunity for Europe, and Europe is strong in industrial fields, industrial IoT segments like automotive electronics, factory automation, energy, health and care, and others. We have an opportunity to focus and strengthen the European ecosystem in order to reverse the trend for outsourcing everything and buying everything from Asia, but also to strengthen the European data economy and competition to the hyperscalers from US. We are strong in industrial segments in IoT. We want the pilots to be industry driven. Meaning we want to have a bridge. We want to bridge the demand and the supply side. We're looking at key sectors of Europe. We want pilots to have strategic industrial orientation, and quite important, we want to have cross-domain pilots, meaning the pilots should not focus on one, but at least on 2 domains to strengthen the transversal application of the technologies, but as well also to support synergies between domains. For instance, in the area of EV charging, electromobility and energy, to give you one example, but it's not limited to that one. So quite important for you, if you talk about platform approach, the platform should go across different pilots. A key element for the industrial orientation is that the platform approach and the pilots take a system integration view. System integration means you have to combine the traditional embedded systems and control together with latest technologies of Internet of Things and connected objects, and combined with latest cloud technologies, application of digital twins, and orchestration of the cloud and the IoT and the edge. So we are supporting a platform economy. What does it mean? On the one hand, we have this system integration aspect. On the other hand, you have to take the system level approach from hardware of smart devices towards operating systems and device and system level. That could include sort of the core operating system, but also meta operating system virtualization techniques towards middleware and to application software. The key element of the proposal should be having functions, using the opportunity of delivering functions from the cloud to the devices. So functions and apps over the air, and updates over the air is a key element. An app store at the edge of one thing. And we want to have platforms which do not have a vendor login. So you have to focus on open APIs, open standards, in order to create a vibrant ecosystem. In a nutshell, we call for innovation actions. The budget is 45 million. The contribution per project, we estimate 20 to 25 million. So it will be critical mass. So we will have, at the end, we will have 2 projects. Technology readiness level from 6 to 7. Quite important that we give the opportunity for financial support to third parties up to 20%, which is an opportunity actually to link to and to lower the overhead, to include SMEs, startups, and mid-caps for the take-up of and validation of emerging edge platforms. The expected outcomes are listed in the work program. I think implementation of IoT edge paradigms, but the core element is an open platforms underpinning an emerging open edge ecosystems. That's a key element, demonstrating cross-domain standardization and upscaling. And we need the sectors with strategic orientation for European competitiveness. For the expected outcomes, we expect the proposals to address as many as possible, and if possible, all of the expected outcomes. So that has been covered already. So moving from the pilot, we also call for a coordination and support action. So the coordination and support action will closely work with the pilot in order to maximize the impact. It will focus on horizontal actions like dissemination, standardization, compliance to the Cyber Resilience Act or the Data Act, but essentially building an ecosystem around the pilot consortium. The task of the CSA will be looking at trend scouting, portfolio analysis of emerging business cases, looking at the competitive situation of European stakeholders, and the second element to support a vibrant and open framework for a vibrant edge IoT ecosystem that includes analysis of cost-cutting aspects, but essentially to support open APIs, open standards, and to promote the open calls via FSDP of the pilots. So key element of the CSA is to work with the ecosystem, to do trend analysis, and to support to maximize the impact of the pilots. Just a bit of a visualization, what we mean by a vibrant ecosystem. I think it's a circle around data about a competitive position of the solutions, to include more developers into the platform approach, to increase the community, and at the end of the day, to have this networking effect, to have a network orchestration and computing, and to support interoperability, consensus on interoperability and standards. So I think it's again, I think summarized over here. Main information about previous research, ongoing projects, and previous research of RIAS and on the whole ecosystem around edge IoT, cloud edge IoT, you find on the portal. And quite important for you to mention is, because I think we're calling for complex projects, we are organizing a ProCrunch Info Day event on the 1st of December, which will be a hybrid, so physical in Brussels, as well as supported by a ProCrunch, an online ProCrunch platform. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rolf. And now I think it's time for your questions. So since Rolf presented the two topics, Data 0103 and Data 0105, please, in your question, specify the topic. So then, otherwise, we are not able to distinguish the two topics. Again, the QR code and hashtag InfoDay. This is the password. Now the floor is to okay, we have already just one question. Is it possible for SMEs to lead a consortium and act as a coordinator even though the project and its budget are very large?
I think from the capacity of an SME, if it demonstrates capacity to coordinate the project, yes. From the financial checks, I think the viability, it's independent of that one. So you need to provide financial data that you can cope with such a budget. So I think there are two elements of the answer. One is you should have sort of the capacity to coordinate different stakeholders and have a track record on that one. And you should have keen interest, because you're an SME with your business models and your value proposition. And second part is the legal and financial validation. But in principle, yes, of course, it's possible.
Yes, and I think this is, let's say, a principle that is applied to let's say mainly all kind of Horizon Europe projects. I don't know if there are other questions coming. Otherwise, I think we can stop here. Okay, so I have the confirmation, no more questions. So we can stop here, and we can come back like in almost 10 minutes. So at 10:25 will be the next the opening of the next destination 4. So stay tuned and see you soon.
Thank you, Elena.
Thank you, Ralph.